All right, imagine this, right? Like you laying down a track, and your fingers, they're all over the keys, and the melody, it's so catchy. Even like Avicii would be nodding along. And guess what? You're not dreaming. That's the power of FL Studio right there.
It's wild, yeah. It's like this whole studio professional grade crammed right into your computer.
Exactly. And get this, we've got our hands on FL Studio, guide to one of the most versatile DWs by UD Audio. So today we're going deep, no jargon, just pure FL Studio gold.
Music to my ears.
So gotta ask, right, how this music-making beast even come about? Remember those Fruity Loops days?
Oh yeah, way back when. Simpler times, musically speaking, for sure.
Yeah.
But you see, FL Studio, it's been on a wild ride over the years. Started out, mainly for making loops, hence the name, right?
Yeah.
But ImageLine, the minds behind it, they weren't messing around. They kept pushing, refining, innovating.
And now, they're right up there, going head-to-head with the biggest names in DWs.
No doubt. And for anyone new to this whole game, a DW, it's basically your music control center.
Where the magic happens, right?
Exactly. Think like a space, digital obviously, where you can record instruments live even, then you arrange those recordings, tweak them till they're perfect, mix it all up till it sounds like, well, a hit. That's your DAW. NFL Studio, it's a major player, no question.
And it all started with those, like, colorful, almost toy-like loops. Crazy.
It really shows you how far they've come. And you know what's fascinating? The artists who use it totally reflects that journey, that versatility.
Totally. It's not just one genre, one kind of artist drawn to FL Studio. We're talking, like, huge names, global superstars.
Absolutely. Think about it. You got Martin Garrix crushing it in EDM, Avicii blending pop and dance like a legend, Metro Boomin, the sound of hip-hop today right there, and Porter Robinson always pushing those electronic music boundaries, all find their groove with FL Studio.
So superstars across the board, all in on this one DAW. What's the secret? What makes FL Studio stand out?
Now that's the good stuff. It's this mix of really smart design and some seriously powerful features.
All right, lay it on me. What are we talking about here?
Well, let's kick things off with the piano roll.
For those who haven't had the pleasure.
It's where melodies come alive, those earworms you can't shake. Basically it's like this grid, digital, and you put notes in to make your melodies. But what makes FL Studio's piano roll different? It just feels right, intuitive, ideas just flow.
It's all about that flow state.
100%.
Yeah.
And then you got the step sequencer. Might sound a little, I don't know, scary, but it's super user-friendly, especially for crafting those beats, the addictive kind.
Sounds like a secret weapon, Rhythm Edition.
Spot on. It's
Yeah.
visual, so you see the beat right there. You can mess around with different drum patterns, easy, even if you're no drummer. Make those complex rhythms, no problem.
All right, so we got the melodies going with the piano roll. The beats are bumping thanks to the step sequencer. What's next?
Now this is the heart of any good track. The mix. FL Studio's mixer, it's like your command center, blending instruments, vocals, effects, all of it, and you can get it super precise, crazy flexible, crazy powerful.
Which is key because
Think about it. You could have the catchiest melody ever, the most innovative beat, but if the mix is bad, muddy, forget it, they'll never shine.
like the difference between a blurry photo and one that's like crystal clear high def, right?
Exactly. FL Studio gives you the tools so you can shape that sound, get those professional quality mixes. And speaking of tools, can't forget the VST plugins. There's a whole universe of them, and FL Studio embraces it.
Okay, gotta ask. For those new to this whole VST thing, what are they exactly?
So VST, it stands for Virtual Studio Technology. Imagine them like apps for your DAW, each one with unique sounds and effects. You need a booming bass line. There's a VST for that. You want reverb that sounds like you're singing in like a cathedral. VST's got you covered.
So it's like expanding your sound palette, but infinitely.
You got it. And here's the kicker. FL Studio, it plays super nice with VSTs from other developers, which is huge. It's like a universal adapter, but for music.
That opens up what, like, infinite possibilities.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're getting a real feel for what makes FL Studio special. But got to bring this up because it's basically unheard of, especially with software. Lifetime updates.
Changes the game, totally. Buy FL Studio once, that's it. You're not paying for upgrades every year. No way. All those future updates, new features, improvements, they're yours. Free.
That's massive, especially in music production, where things are changing constantly.
It's like having a backstage pass, right, to how music production itself is evolving. And ImageLine, they're listening, always. They add new stuff. They tweak the workflow based on what users are saying.
Okay, so we've got the basics down. Powerful DAW, crazy versatile, used by everyone from like bedroom producers to Grammy winners.
Yeah.
Got it. But what if you're just starting out? Picking the right version of FL Studio, that can be overwhelming, like walking into a music store, instruments everywhere. But luckily, FL Studio makes it easier. They got different editions for different needs.
It's a step-up approach, which is smart.
Ooh, I like that. Like choosing your own adventure, but musical.
You got it. So let's say you're just dipping your toes in music production world. The Fruity Edition is the perfect place to start.
All right, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this Fruity Edition. What makes it good for beginners?
So it gives you all the core stuff, the essentials like that intuitive piano roll we talked about, and the step sequencer for those beats. You can jump right in, start exploring, experimenting, creating right out the gate.
Like a musical playground, but digital, right there in your computer.
100%. The focus is on getting your feet wet, feeling that joy of making music without a million features you don't need yet. And as your skills level up, your ambition too, FL Studio levels up right with you.
Okay, that's Foodie Edition for dipping your toes in. I like it. But what if you're ready to go all in, like record those live performances, really step up your production game?
Then we're talking Producer Edition. Now things are getting interesting.
So Producer Edition, this is for creators who are ready to really capture their own sound, right? Not just loops anymore. We're talking instruments, vocals, the whole shebang.
You got it. This is where it opens up for singer-songwriters, bands, podcasters even, anyone who wants to bring in those live recordings. If you can dream it, plug a mic into it, Producer Edition helps you bring it to life, all within FL Studio.
That's amazing. Like having a pro studio right there in your computer, just waiting to capture those musical moments.
Exactly. And don't forget, the Producer Edition, it's got all those extra features that give you next level control, automation clips, audio stretching, stuff that really adds that pro polish.
Ooh, those sound interesting.
Yeah.
Automation clips, for example. What can you actually do with those?
Imagine this. You're listening to a track, and the volume of, say, a synth that slowly gets louder creates this dramatic effect. Or the drums, they have this subtle swing to them, and it gives the whole song this groove. That's automation, and FL Studio makes it easy. You basically draw those changes in over time.
It's like having a sound engineer right there, tweaking the knobs in real time, responding to the music. That's incredible.
Exactly. And then there's audio stretching. Let's say you got this vocal sample, right? And you want it to fit a different tempo, but you don't want it sounding all chipmunky, sped up. Audio stretching, it lets you mess with the timing, the pitch, separately. Opens up a world of possibilities.
Wow, that's powerful. So Producer Edition, definitely living up to the name. It's giving you the tools to make pro-quality music. But FL Studio, they don't stop there, do they? 2 more editions, each with its own, personality.
FL Studio, it's all about pushing those creative limits. So next up, going up from Producer, there's the Signature Bundle. This is for the sound designers, those who want to get their hands dirty, create sounds from scratch.
Creating sounds? Oh, yeah, taking it to the next level. What's in the Signature Bundle that lets you do that?
It's got some legendary plugins, stuff like Citrus, Direct Wave. Seriously powerful. Citrus, for example, that's a synthesizer so deep, so versatile, you could spend years just exploring sounds with it.
Whoa, so what kind of sounds are we even talking about? Give me an example.
Think this pulsating bass line, but it's warping, twisting through your speakers, or these shimmering pads that sound like they came from another dimension. Citrus, it makes those complex, evolving sounds. That's why producers love it. For electronic music, film scores, anything that needs those unique textures.
Sounds like a sonic laboratory right there in your computer.
Yeah.
What about Direct Wave? What makes it special?
Direct Wave is all about sampling. You take any sound, a vocal, a drum hit, a car engine, whatever, and you turn it into an instrument you can play. It's used in tons of hit songs.
That's incredible. So you're not limited to pre-made sounds anymore. You can create your own world using everyday sound.
Exactly. That's the beauty of it. You capture that sound, that essence, and then you turn it into something musical.
Okay, so Signature Bundle. Sounds like it's for those who want to dive deep, experiment, have that control over their sound.
100% blank canvas, but instead of paint, you've got all these sonic colors ready to be explored.
We've gone through 3 editions now, each awesome in its own way. Fruity Edition for starting out, Producer Edition, your own recording studio basically, and Signature Bundle, the sonic playground. What's left? What's at the peak of this FL Studio mountain?
All right, get ready for this, because this is the ultimate for sound explorers, the All Plugins edition. You guessed it, this one has every single plugin ImageLine has ever made. It's like the mothership of music production.
Wow, okay, that's a lot of plugins. Who's that even for? Is it like overkill if you're not, already winning Grammys?
That's a good question. It's true, the All Plugins edition, it's a dream for pros who want like no limits whatsoever on their sound, but it's also great for someone who's serious about producing, wants to invest in getting better.
I see. It's like a master class, but in software form.
You got it. Think of it this way. Even if you don't use every plugin right away, you have them. You can explore, experiment as you get better, find your sound.
So it's about having the freedom to try anything, any sound, any effect, no holding back.
Exactly. It's like having endless musical possibilities all right there at your fingertips. But even with all that, all those plugins, features, FL Studio never forgets what matters most.
And what's that?
The joy of making music.
That's what it's all about in the end, right?
Right.
Getting lost in it, bringing those ideas to life through sound. It's pretty magical.
Absolutely. We can't forget that no matter how experienced we are, you could be starting out with Fruity Edition or a Pro using all plugins. It's about the fun, letting loose creatively.
Love it. But got to bring it back to our listeners for a sec. We've covered a ton. History of FL Studio, those cool features, different editions. What are some key takeaways for someone listening right now, maybe feeling inspired to try this whole music production thing out?
Love that question. It's something we should all be asking ourselves, right? When we're checking out a new creative tool.
Totally. It's not just like what it can do, but how it helps you express yourself. Where do we even begin?
Well, I think a big takeaway here is that FL Studio, even though it's powerful, sophisticated, it's still approachable. It's used by pros, big names, but it welcomes beginners. It's not intimidating.
That's huge. Making music production something anyone can try, not just the experts.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if you've never opened music software before or you've been dreaming of making beats since you were a kid.
Yeah.
FL Studio meets you where you're at and it gives you a way to grow.
Like a mentor, but for music production. Right there with you.
I like that. And with those lifetime updates, you know they're in it for the long haul, growing with you.
And talk about growth. FL Studio, from those Fruity Loops days to now, global powerhouse, it's clearly all about innovation.
For sure. They're not just sitting back. They're listening to users, pushing what a DW can be, making it more intuitive, more expressive, more fun.
And that brings us to a really exciting part, the so what part. We've talked about everything, the history, the features, all of it. But what matters is what you, the listener, create with this knowledge.
That's what it's all about. We've given you the map, but the adventure, that's all yours.
And what an adventure it can be. FL Studio gives you the tools, the inspiration, the freedom.
Whether it's EDM, hip-hop, electronica, whatever calls to you, FL Studio's got your back, helps you bring those musical visions to life.
So, to everyone listening, if you're feeling that creative spark, that urge to make something, to explore, what are you waiting for?
Dive in. Don't overthink it. Experiment. Mess up. Have fun. See where it takes you.
The world wants to hear your music. Who knows? You might be the next Avicii or Martin Garrix, making hits right from your bedroom.
It all starts somewhere with that first beat, that first note, that first spark.
And on that note,
And the cool thing is, with FL Studio, those first steps, they don't have to be scary at all.
that's been a big part of our conversation today, right? Making music production less about like formulas and more about, well, the music.
100%. And you know what helps? Thinking about those artists, the ones we talked about, Martin Garrix, Avicii, Metro Boomin, Porter Robinson, they all started somewhere. Every single one of them had that first beat, that first melody, that first moment of inspiration.
It's like embracing that beginner's mindset, that excitement, that willingness to experiment. It's about having fun, messing around, not being afraid to make like the weirdest sounds along the way.
I love that. It shouldn't feel like a chore. It should feel like play. And FL Studio, it gets that. The design, the whole vibe, it encourages that.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of FL Studio, what's the one thing you really hope sticks with our listeners?
That's easy. If you've ever even thought about making music, about hearing your own sounds come to life, FL Studio is the place to be. It grows with you from those first, maybe a little clunky beats to, who knows, maybe even chart toppers someday.
It all comes back to that, like we said. The only limit is your imagination.
Exactly. And hey, maybe down the line, we'll be doing a deep dive on your music, checking out what you've created with FL Studio.
That's what we love to see. So to all our listeners out there, keep that creative spark alive, keep experimenting, keep making music. That's what it's all about.
Here's to the next generation of music creators.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And that's a wrap on our FL Studio deep dive. Until next time, keep those creative gears turning.